I'm going to hold off with some of my commentary on Charlie Kirk until the very end. So those of you who would prefer to have the politics at the end, have the politics at the end. Now, the Charlie Kirk thing is not all about politics. It's really about the Republic. It's really pointing out how a lot of folks are pretty whack. Anyway, I'll get to that at the end. This morning, we had, of course, higher than expected, not of course, because I expected lower CPI numbers, but the CPI numbers did come in higher than anticipated, but so did the jobs. The unemployment figures came in higher also. The result is the stock market is flirting, or the bond market is flirting with 3.99. And guess what? So far, if you watched it last night, 𝐓𝐡𝐚𝐲 is right. We are in the 350s now, and we'll see if that holds for the day. But at least for now, Nicholas is looking pretty smart. Okay, let's take a look at what the news is around all of this. First of all, let's talk about Elon, because Elon was impacted by yesterday. And also, there turns out he's posting today that there was also an article, I'm sorry, yeah, a front page of a magazine in Europe showing him on the front page as public enemy number 2. Now, that magazine should probably be put out of business. I think that's probably somebody should just, I don't know how you do that as a government, but I'm not sure that is in the public interest to be putting private individuals on the cover as public enemy number 2. Anyway, Elon rightly says this morning that he is increasing, because of this news article, he is increasing his security detail. Again, this is an indication of a sickness. This is a very, very significant evidence of a sickness. I don't know. I've lived a long time now, and sometimes I think I understand things because who knows, a long life, but I'm not sure I understand this sickness. It's not something that I have experienced in my life or among almost anybody that I know. Anyway, the other side of the coin is that everybody seems to be extremely interested in the race to the richest man in the world contest between Larry Ellison and Elon Musk. And right now it's kind of neck and neck. But if it matters to Larry, or if it matters to Elon, I don't think it'll be neck and neck for long. Number one, I'm not 100% sure that this increase for Larry Ellison will hold. This went up pretty fast, and when things go up that fast, they tend to back off a little bit. I have a pretty strong suspicion. I've been reporting on it almost daily that Tesla stock is going to go up dramatically between now and the end of the year. And then Elon has the advantage of having 6 sources of income that we know of, or 5, I guess, 5, 6. I can't. Let me think here. It's either 5 or 6 sources of income. Well, sources of wealth anyway, between his various companies. So we'll see how that plays out over time. From Barron's this morning, Baird analyst Ben Callow published his short interest update for companies he covers on Wednesday. Short sellers, of course, as you know, borrow stock they don't own and sell it, hoping to buy it back to repay the stock at a lower price in the future. Well, there's about 80 million shares of Tesla have been sold short. That's about 3% of the shares that are available for trading. That's higher than the roughly 1% average of short interest in the rest of the Magnificent Seven stocks. But Tesla's short interest has been stable and in recent months with no significant increase or decrease. It has been the number 1 shorted stock in the entire exchange for years. And sometimes, not every day, not every month, but very commonly, it is the number 1 most shorted stock that there is. One reason for higher short interest is the valuation. Tesla is the most expensive on the Mag 7 by a long shot. It trades for about 140 times the estimated calendar year 2026 earnings. The other 6 trade for closer to 29 times. Tesla eked out a 0.2% gain on Wednesday. We saw that. It had been up a lot more. And that was following Oracle's blowout quarterly results that sent its shares up 36% in a single day. Investors weren't ready for how big Oracle's AI business is getting. Contracted backlog rose to 455 billion. That's a nice backlog at the end of August, up from just 138 billion at the end of May. Whoa. Tesla's seen more as an AI play now rather than as a car company by the bullish investors and analysts. It's using AI computing to train cars to drive themselves and to train humanoid robots to do useful tasks. It's using AI for a lot more than that, but that's enough for today. Tesla hopes to start selling significant quantities of robots in 2026, according to Elon Musk, CEO. Is that his title? I don't think so. Anyway, this is Randy Kirk. Yeah, you would be right if you think that the news about the bond markets, the news about CPI, the news about Charlie Kirk has completely wiped out any other news coverage right now. So there's not a lot going on. So let's get right in. Randy Kirk likes. Do I need to repeat that every day? Like, subscribe? No, probably not. Let me just remind you that it's Randy Kirk. That would probably be enough. It's sometime just to let you know who I am. The Consumer Price Index for all urban consumers. Remember that I give you this in the raw. I don't report almost any of this information. Do I use other people's reporting? I go get it in the raw, and hopefully that's important to you in terms of hearing it from the Census Bureau or from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, etc. The Consumer Price Index for all urban consumers increased at the 0.4% on a seasonally adjusted basis in August, after rising 0.2% in July. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported today, over the last 12 months, the all items index increased 2.9% before seasonal adjustment. Now, you'll find out that the index for shelter rose 0.4% in August and was the largest factor from the all items monthly increase. Now, let's stop on that for a minute. Let's think about that for a minute. Is that what you're hearing from anywhere else? Are you hearing that the price of housing is going up in the month of August? Are you hearing that anybody's rents are increasing in the month of August? Did you hear from Zillow? Did you hear from any of the other reporting that I've done over the last month that the price of housing is all of a sudden shooting up at 0.4% month over month, which would be 5% year over year? Did anything suggesting that? Could you look up your house right now on Zillow and find that? No, because this statistic is nonsense. And it's based on the fact that they call people and say, how much would your house rent for? It's just a crazy number. And remember that 33% of the numbers that they're using right now are garbage. They're assumed. They're not from any hard stats. The food index increased by 0.5% over the month. Food at home increased 0.6%. And the food away from home increased 0.3%. And the index for energy rose 0.7% in August. Index for gasoline increased 1.9% over the month. Except that we heard that at September 1st, on Labor Day, we had the lowest prices of gasoline in the last 5 years. I'm trying to make sense of this. I don't understand. The index for all items less food and energy went up 0.3% in August, as it did in July. Indices that increased over the month included airline fares, used cars and trucks, apparel, and new vehicles. The indices for medical care, recreation, and communication were among the few major indices that decreased. The all items increase rose 2.9% for the 12 months ending August, after rising 2.7% over the 12 months ending July. The all items less food and energy went up 3.1% over the last 12 months. The energy index increased by 0.2% for the 12 months ended August, and the food index increased 3.2% over the last year. Now, the only thing I will say is that I will give the Fed credit, apparently, for being able to estimate their own information. They said they thought that we'd be around 3.1 at this point, and they thought that about 0.4% of that 4.4 to 0.6 of that would be due to tariffs. But I'm trying to find the tariffs in these numbers. The tariffs are not causing the housing prices. They're not causing the rental prices. they're not causing the used car. Well, it could be possibly impacting used cars. If new car prices are up because of tariffs, then the used car prices would be up also, maybe because of tariffs. You can find it maybe in the food prices. There's possibility. We got coffee prices going up. We've got, but meat prices, that's not the tariffs. The food away from home, not sure. We saw yesterday in the producer price index that the food prices were not up. So yeah, okay. Anyway, CNBC, I did decide that they had something to report here on this that I thought was useful. Today's CPI report has been trumped by the jobless claims report, wrote Seema Shah, chief global strategist at Principal Asset Management. While the CPI report is a tad hotter, so she wasn't. I'm assuming Seema is a girl. I'm not sure. Could be a guy. While the CPI report is a tad hotter than expected, it will not give the Fed a moment of hesitation when they announce a rate cut next week. If anything, the jump in jobless claims will inject a bit more urgency in the Fed's decision making, with Powell lightly signaling a sequence of rate cuts is on the way. The closely watched CPI reading saw its biggest gain from 0.4% increase in shelter costs, 0.4% increase, which account for about 1/3 of the weighting in the index. Food prices jumped 5% or 0.5% as we noted, and the rest of it we already knew. U.S. Consumer Price Index, monthly percent change, January 21 to 2025. This is pretty interesting. Did I get this? I thought I got this down. Maybe I missed it. Market pricing. Traders moved. Okay. No, I didn't take that count. Market pricing indicates a 100% certainty. 100% certainty the Fed will lower its benchmark interest rate, currently target between 4.25 and 4.5. However, there's been a slight implied chance the Fed might choose to deviate from its quarter point and go up 0.5. Traders also moved the probability of another reduction in October to a near certainty and see a high likelihood of a third move in December. Fed officials have been watching the inflation data closely for clues on the impact of President Donald Trump's tariff. There has been some visible pass-through from the duties, though inflation figures have been relatively well behaved. The BLS reported Wednesday the producer price actually declined in August. Tariff-sensitive vehicle prices saw monthly increases, with new vehicles up 0.3%. Used cars and trucks, which are generally not influenced by tariffs, rose 1%. The Fed, though, is more focused on service costs as signals of underlying inflation. Historically, tariffs have been looked at as temporary boost to prices of goods, but not a long-term inflation driver. But service prices, excluding energy, rose 0.3 in August and are up 3.6 for the year. Shelter was also up 3.6 annually and has been steadily declining through the year after peaking above 8% in 2023. If Fed officials had any doubt about citing the jobless claims, if Fed officials has any doubt about cutting, the jobless claims report may have sealed the deal. And again, I'm just going to say, I think I'm very confused by some of these numbers. I'm very shocked at some of these percentages. But service now, okay, labor prices are going up, which is the opposite of what you expect if we've got labor surplus, right? Am I right about that? So service prices are not going up because of the cost of the raw goods that they use to do their services. The raw good is labor. So that's not happening. We're not seeing increases in office prices or retail space. So that ain't it. So why are service prices going up? Because they can, because people can afford it. I don't know. We also saw all these, food away from home prices. I mean, they are crazy, but they're so crazy that I don't even know if they've gone up since last month, because they're so whack. You can't even. It's not even in your perception. In the week ending September 6th, the advanced figure for seasonally adjusted initial claims was 263,000. That's an increase of 27,000 from the previous week's revised level. It's the highest level for initial claims since October 23, when it was 206. That was 2021. I'm sorry, 2021, when it was 268,000. The previous week's level was revised down by 1,000 from 237 to 236, and the 4-week moving average was 240. That's an increase of 9,750. Obviously, you get a giant increase in 1 week. But anyway, so the previous week's average was revised down by 250 to 230,750. Anyway, so that big jump is obviously going to impact the Fed's decision-making process. Also, other data, other jobs data this past week, going to be impacting the Fed's decision, which, is at least a good chance that Nicholas Gibbs will be right again. A lot of people agreeing with him. The advanced seasonally adjusted insured unemployment rate was 1.3%. That is the same. That has not changed for months. The total number of continued weeks, this is the one that I pay the most attention to. The total number of continued weeks claimed for benefits in all programs for the weekend was 1,925,000. That's a decrease of almost 41,000 from the previous week. So what that tells us is that people are finding it somewhat, not a ton, but somewhat easier to find a job once they're unemployed. That's all that tells you. That's all I'm claiming. All right. POTUS's number, president's number, is at 48%. And on Truthflation, okay, so I looked at their blog last night, and their blog was pretty accurate in terms of judging the CPI for today. So their blog was saying, 2.9, 2.8, 3.1, et cetera. They were pretty accurate. But that doesn't compare to their overnight number at around 2% and their year-over-year number at less than 2%. So something is missing in my brain, my analysis, my understanding of the Truthflation report. So I need to dig into it. Maybe I'll give them a call again, see if they'll talk to me. I need to understand their reporting better. How are they getting from that daily and that year-over-year number to putting in their blog last night that they thought it was going to be close to what the number actually turned out to be? What am I missing? And I'm not going to report on it right now until I find out what's missing. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. All right. Now, with regard to Charlie Kirk, by the way, I was thinking last night that my dad's middle name was Charles, so my dad would have been Charlie Kirk if he used his middle name. With regard to Charlie Kirk, they have found the rifle. They have, according to news reporting, they have a very good picture of the man who did it. So hopefully we will be getting news of an arrest soon. What we saw overnight and this morning, sadly, was horrific. People willing to go on social media, people willing to go on national television, people willing to go on the cable news and say horrible things. We know that humans are horrible. This is not news. A lot of people out there are horrible. People kill their wives, kill their children, kill leaders, burn down cities. We have Nepal, as stupid as the decision in Nepal was to eliminate social media. We have people in the streets rioting and burning down buildings, building down the Hilton or some hotel in Nepal, in Kathmandu, burning down the parliament. So, there's horrible people out there. But man, it's really been sad to watch people that can't take a minute. They can't take a minute to just say, this guy, he was a star. He was a special human being. Agree with his politics, don't agree with his politics. He was a star. And somebody took him out early. I didn't agree with Bobby Kennedy's politics. I didn't agree with Teddy Kennedy's politics back in the day. Didn't agree with Martin Luther King. Didn't agree with, but to see those guys taken out for whatever reasons, and this is another thing I said last night. I lost a couple of followers last night because I said last night, we don't know the motives of this shooter. I wish people would stop acting like they know the motives of the shooter. I wish people on the right or the left would stop saying that they think they know the motives. They don't know the motives. This could have been a CIA job. This could have been an inside job. This could have been a deep state job. There's a lot of people in the CIA and the FBI right now that are still deep state. And it could have been that. It could have been a foreign actor. It could have been, a lot of people are talking about this potentially being a foreign actor. It could have been somebody that's trying to, mess with U.S. politics, create division, and so we don't know. And so it makes me sad when people that I respect start talking about the motives of this killer before we have a clue. We don't have any evidence. When we have some evidence, great. Now we can start talking about motives, but we don't have the evidence yet. A lot of these recent horrible killings have been people that are just deranged. They are just whack, and that doesn't excuse anything. If anything, I don't know why we house these people in insane asylums or in prisons for the rest of their natural life, because they're no good to society. If you kill, let's go back to the day when those folks get quick and swift justice, as Elon Musk said yesterday. You've heard me say this before. I'm not backing away from it. We need the death penalty, and we need the death penalty to apply to people that are just evil. There's just no reason to keep them around. Why are we paying to keep them around? There's no benefit. There's nobody visiting them and checking up on them. They're just sitting silently in some cell while we, the taxpayer, continue to pay the bill. Yeah, I'm sorry. If that offends you, don't follow me. It's okay. I'll have other followers. I'm just telling you what I believe. Like Charlie Kirk told you what he believed. I'm telling you what I believe, and that's what I believe. So, but we don't know the motive yet. So I would rather people would not suggest a motive until we know what the motive is. All right, let's look at where the stocks are right now. We have got, I'm sorry, I was distracted by headlines all over the place. Tesla is now up 3.09% this morning at 358.54. If we can break through 360 today, Nicholas Gibbs will really look like a genius. He's already looking like a genius. 358.33 right now. We've got the Dow Jones only up 1%, but that's still pretty strong. Over 46,000. I think that is an all-time record high now. I can check that real quick. Let's just look it up just real quick. That would be, yes, we're now at a record on the Dow. So that means that probably the NASDAQ is probably a record. S&P up 0.67, 6,575. We are really, really close to that 6,600. So yeah, I'm sure this is all at record highs. We've got the Magnificent Seven, except for Google's down a tad, but all the rest of the Magnificent Seven are up, but not that strongly, interesting. Mostly up just a little bit. The VIX is down to right about 15 again. That is risk on. And the Cathie Woods are flying. They're flying. RK up 3.46. ARKG up 5.49. CRISPR up 7.40. Of course, why are they all up? It's because interest rates coming down, which is what I tell you all the time. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but most of the days you have to admit that definitely pans out. And right now we've got the U.S. 10-year is at 4.00. I'm sorry, it has just dropped down to 3.998, making me the genius. I said that I thought by the end of the week that the 10-year would be in the threes. And so there you have it, folks. I am the genius with that one, 3.998 right now. All right, and that's why the Cathie Woods are going crazy right now. We've got oil down this morning, $1.17. That's 1.82%, 262.51. That's not far different than kind of where it's been hanging out at the low end. Natural gas down 0.07 this morning. We have got gold down just a little bit, down $8 to 3,674. Some people predicting gold at 4,000. Some people predicting 5,000. Silver up this morning, 0.77 at 41.92. That might be an all-time high. And copper up a little bit, climbing, 4.58. You heard me say earlier that I think copper is under where it should be. It's I think it goes up. We've got the dollar easing, it says here, after the hotter inflation, but I'm seeing mixed. So I'm seeing up against the yen, for instance. We have got Bitcoin up 1,000 to 114,471. So that continues its activity from yesterday, and Ether up even more, up 2.61, 4,430. Ether being up more than Bitcoin would be another Tom Lee prediction coming true. We'll see how that plays out over the next weeks and months. Okay, so that's where we are after a crazy day yesterday with Charlie Kirk passing as a result of an assassin's bullet. After wild numbers yesterday on PPI, way under expectations, followed by CPI, proving once again that PPI does not predict CPI. Wildly lower yesterday on PPI, quite a bit, really actually on the headline number, CPI much higher than expected, but the overall close enough, I guess. And then the unemployment numbers much higher, significantly higher than expected. So therefore the bonds are down, the yields down. I'm sorry, there's a bond rally. That's going to continue. If we break through 4, we're going to 375. You can write that down. We're going to 375. And everybody says that if Tesla breaks through 360, there's nothing to keep it from going to 400. And of course, on to 500, in my opinion, unless, of course, we put 500 or more cars on the road in Austin, California, etc., before the end of the year, then I think we're at 1,000. Yeah, just that, not just that, because if we put those 500 out there, that'll be telling us all kinds of additional things that are going to happen also. But anyway, 500 by the end of the year is a no-brainer when it comes to Tesla. All right. So later on today, regular, everything's normal today, I think. Bradford Ferguson, followed by Cern Basher. Can't get any better than that. Last night, both shows, all the shows yesterday got massive attention. So I'm just going to go ahead and put up I'm going to put both the Nicholas Gibbs and the Brian Wong show from last night. Both of them were fabulous, unbelievably good. Both of those cards are up there if you've got a minute and you'd like to go back and check those out. That's all I got for you right now. But it has been absolutely fabulous talking to you.